Hey bestie, welcome back or welcome if you are new, and happy Endometriosis Awareness Month. I know it's bittersweet, but we are celebrating all of us endo warrior queens out here. And today I'm sharing my endometriosis story, and this may be a long video, so grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite snack, pop a squat, and let's get started. Before we start, you might be wondering, what is endometriosis? So endometriosis is a chronic condition where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus, the endometrium, grows outside the uterus, most commonly in the pelvic region. However, endometriosis has actually been found on almost every organ in the body, and it is not just a period-related chronic illness. It is so much more than that. I have always had pretty painful periods, and when I first got my period, I was 13 years old, and that period literally had me like rocking back and forth, hugging a pillow, and begging for a chocolate bar. I was crying on the phone to my best friend at the time, and it was just not a pleasant experience. I don't know whose is for the first time, but in addition to the pain, my period was actually really heavy, and it was so heavy that I was actually filling up a pad in less than an hour, and I was actually put on iron pills because I became slightly anemic. I don't remember taking the iron pills too long. I think my body kind of like regulated itself because I was also put on birth control at that time. My journey for endometriosis started in 2022, and I cannot tell you what a struggle it was to get people to listen. Starting with the pain that I felt this like sharp jabbing pain, like if someone was taking a jumbo sewing needle and jabbing me in my right side. And I'll have a clip on the screen to show you like where specifically, because I can still point to it to this day because it's like muscle memory, it's ingrained in here. And it felt like someone was taking a jumbo sewing needle and jabbing me there constantly for months. And this one little pain was debilitating. Like it took over my life. And there were times where I would be sitting in a car and it would hit and I would literally jump out of my seat because the pain made me jump out of my skin physically. In the midst of having these pains, my past couple periods before the pain started and while I was having the pains, not only were they super painful and debilitating to where I was curled up in a ball, sobbing on my bed, like asking the universe, when is this pampering gonna kick in? Like I was crying. I was taking the extra strength Pamprin and the Tylenol, and it just did not do anything. And also at this time, in the past year, at that time, I had only had 4 periods. Technically, you're supposed to have 13 in a year because of the 13th cycle. I had 4. And if you know, you know about the bloating. Endobelly is so real. Like you can feel your skin stretching and your stomach growing to the point where it can't. And then when it's at like its maximum elasticity, I guess you could say, it is so hard to breathe when your stomach gets like that. It's hard to find clothes that fit and that's comfortable. And it just was like that every day. It was like that every day, and I was struggling to find clothes to wear. I was wearing like the same pants, like washing them every day because I couldn't fit in any of my other pants. And at this time, this is when I started kind of get into the natural pain relief devices because I wanted to try to figure this out myself first and see if I could find something that would help with the pain. So I started looking at like natural pain relief devices outside of a heating pad because we can't always stay attached to a heating pad all day as much as certain people like to think so. Like we can just carry a heating pad in the car with us to work and then just sit there with it plugged in all day and we're good to go. It doesn't work that way. So I came across the brand Mylivia, and Mylivia, I think they still do sell devices, and I might still have mine around here somewhere. Basically, it's a portable TENS unit, and it clipped onto my pants, and there were like 2 little flower electrodes that you would put on either side, and I put it on, and when I tell you guys, this was like a miracle sent down from the heavens because I felt so much relief, and I had that device on my body every day until the battery died. When that happened, I found another brand that was called It's No More. It was a portable heating pad, and it just wrapped around, you clipped it in place, put it where you wanted it, turned it on. There's heat and vibration settings. If you are kind of in the endo PCOS, adenomyosis, interstitial cystitis space, you've probably already seen so many brands out there have portable heating pads, portable TENS units. There are some that combine it, and honestly, a lot of them are so helpful. I do have a few personal favorites, which I'll be sharing next week, so make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications for that video. At the end of the day, it worked. It gave me some relief, and especially if the Pamprin didn't kick in right away, I would have that on my body. And then there were the days where the Livia did not help, and it literally felt like someone was punching me in my gut, and I would be hunched over in pain for like 30 seconds, and then I could go back to resuming my life. And it got to the point where I was trying to convince myself that there is something happening, because sometimes it was like I was perfectly fine, and then other times I'm in all this pain and I feel like crap. And I was just trying to figure out, like, is this in my head? Is this real? Symptom wise, I was having the sharp stabbing pains, mood swings, really bad periods. I hit like major depression. Like, I was in bed all the time, every day. There was the endo belly, and I just had the really strong urge to do absolutely nothing. My mom and my grandma had been talking to each other about this, and they finally came and spoke to me, and they're like, Keelie, you need to go to the doctor and get this figured out. And I didn't want to go because in the area that we were in, sometimes the doctors listen to you and sometimes they don't. And especially with these kind of issues, it's like 50-50, picking your pick out of the worst versus the bad. It's just like trying to find someone that's actually going to listen to you. My first and last appointment with this OBGYN made me feel like my concerns and my pain were invalid, and he didn't listen to me at all. Like, he didn't listen. It's like in one ear out the other is what this doctor was like. He did do, after I asked, he did do an internal exam, which I think he's probably scarred for life, because I jump out of my skin during those exams. They're not comfortable, they're painful for me, and I find them very difficult to get through. And then he did an external ultrasound. Now, mind you, if you are going in for any type of testing for endometriosis, unless it is deep infiltrating endometriosis, it usually does not show up on an internal or an external ultrasound. Not a medical professional. Please keep this in mind when I'm saying these things. This is based off of my research that I've done over the past 2 years. I had explained the heaviness of my periods, the pain that I'd been having separate from my period, where it was both on and off my period, as well as missing months at a time for my period, like getting 4 periods in a year. And this doctor told me heavy period bleeding is normal, painful periods are normal, and missing periods is normal. When I tell you, I left that appointment with my mother so annoyed. I'm like, we literally just wasted like 2 hours of my life for this person to tell me that everything is normal. It's fine. I'm healthy. Life is grand. And I was just so flabbergasted. Like, I was so irritated. And the crazy thing is that this doctor got irritated with me because I would not go on birth control. I've been on at least 10 different birth controls and they've done nothing for me. I've gotten acne, I've gotten weight gain, greasy hair, but it never did anything it was supposed to. I've never liked birth control pills. I feel like at this point, it's kind of like a band-aid. It's not a solution. It's not going to fix people's problems. And I really wish that a lot of regular doctors and OBGYNs would stop pushing birth control, because it's a band-aid. It's a band-aid. It's not going to fix the world's issues. After that appointment, I tried to keep using my Livia, the 8 No More portable heating pad, medicating for the pain. And it was about 2 months later that I decided, like, screw it. I have insurance. I want to set an opinion. So I scheduled an appointment with another OBGYN. Once I scheduled the appointment with my second OBGYN, I started doing research for myself to see what it could be based off of my symptoms. And this is something, if you're looking for a diagnosis, do your own research so that you're not going into the appointment blind. Just kind of like get an idea of what you think it could be, because it might help the doctor go in the right direction, which is kind of what happened at this next appointment, because I came to the conclusion it seems like it's either PCOS or endometriosis. And I did not know the diagnosis differences between these, which we're going to talk about in a second. And for this appointment, my middle sister came with me instead of my mom, and my middle sister was actually telling me, like, Keelie, you need to chill. You need to take it down a notch, because I was just so prepared mentally. I was like, I'm standing up for myself. I'm validating my own pain. I want answers. I went into that appointment kind of like with the world on my shoulders. I would say, like, I was determined to get answers and get someone to listen to me that day. This doctor came in and he seemed really nice. I got a way different vibe from him than the previous OBGYN that I saw, and he introduced myself, we started talking, and he tried to bring up the previous doctor's notes. And I asked him respectfully, I would prefer to not talk about his notes because he did not take my concerns seriously, and he made me feel invalidated about what I'm going through and my pain. And he understood that, because I told him we did not have have a great appointment. We did not have a good experience, and I seriously hope to never have to see that doctor again because he made me feel like I was crazy. He asked me what I wanted to talk about today, so I told him about my symptoms and about how I did research, and the conditions that I think it might be are PCOS or endometriosis. And I told him that I want to go through the diagnosis process for each one of these and see which one it is. And he told me that for PCOS, generally there are a couple symptoms. It's like symptom based, but we also have to see if there's multiple cysts on the ovaries, which they do through an internal and external ultrasound. And then for endometriosis, that can only currently be diagnosed through an exploratory laparoscopic surgery. So when he said internal ultrasound and then laparoscopic surgery, your girl was a bit nervous. I was very nervous because one, I've never been able to do a successful internal ultrasound up until last year, and I hate them. I don't like them at all. And I was way happier with this doctor's answer when I asked about the missed periods, because he said definitely missed periods are not normal. And what we could do is put me on norethindrone, which is a progesterone based pill. And I would take that for the first 2 weeks of every month to induce a period to come on. And you know what? It worked. I went ahead and got the internal and external ultrasound scheduled, and I kind of psyched myself out for this appointment because I've had external ultrasounds done like multiple times. Like those are probably the easiest thing that I've ever gotten done. And I actually nailed the external ultrasound. Like that wasn't even the problem. The issue was the internal, because I straight up told the lady that was performing it, I don't know if I'm physically going to be able to do this. And this lady looked a little annoyed with me. And I told her, I was like, I've never been able to do it before. Like I can't even insert a tampon because it hurts so bad. She looked at me and she's like, well, do you want to try it because the doctor ordered it? And I told her I'll try it, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it successfully completely. She prepped everything and she went to insert the wand, I guess you could say, and she didn't even make it to my cervix. Like it hurt so bad and I was jumping like off the table. I was like, are we there yet? Like, are we done? And she's like, I haven't even made it to your cervix. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, I can't do this because I can't take it. And when I tell you, this lady looked so irritated with me. Like I tried apologizing and like she didn't even talk to me. And as usual, if you know, the results came back normal, just fine, as if there's nothing wrong. Again, endometriosis usually does not show up on ultrasound. PCOS, on the other hand, it would usually show cysts, and I actually didn't have any cysts. Since the ultrasounds came back clear and it didn't look like it was going to end up being a diagnosis of PCOS, I talked to my OBGYN again, and I basically told him because this pain and these symptoms were taking over my life and making it more than difficult to do simple daily activities, doing my work, and affecting my overall wellness, my overall life, I told him like, I want the surgery. And that was a big decision for me. I was terrified after I said it. I almost canceled it twice because I was terrified. Like surgery is surgery. And he assured me it's a really simple procedure and my insurance cleared it. And I think I only had to wait about 2 months to get in for my surgery. And I'm not going to talk about that in this video because I do have an entire surgery vlog in the description below this video from my first surgery and my surgery I had last year, which we'll talk about. Do not bring someone with you that is going to make you laugh so hard before and after your surgery, because my sister, she was the only one up early that morning and she said, I'll take you. And I was like, okay. But we laugh a lot together. And she had me laughing so hard after the surgery. It hurt so bad to laugh. And we had a little hospital gown mishap that made us laugh even harder. And overall, like I was in a lot of pain, but I was laughing and it was just a heck of a time. I did have one minor complication. I guess I had a little bit of a reaction to the anesthesia and I wasn't breathing properly. But when I came to out of the surgery, they had me in the little cannula thing and doing a breathing treatment, and there was something else too, and they sent me home with a breathing treatment. And the surgeon came in and said that they found this, literally like you're looking at on the screen, a little tiny dot of endometriosis. And I'm like, that little dot caused me so much pain for months. After I recovered from that surgery, which they said it should only be a couple days to a week, I did not fully recover for months. Then, basically I had my check-in it went well, and I was just told, you know, I can stay on the norethindrone if I want to keep inducing a period so it's consistent. And I stayed on it for about another year, and I decided to see what my body would do if I went off of it, because really for norethindrone you're only supposed to stay on it for 9 to 12 months, and at that time I'd been on it for 2 years. So I decided to give my body a break, you know, break the cycle, and my periods were coming consistently at least until this last year. So fast forward to August of 2024 this year. Last year, I actually started having missed periods again, and I thought of this as a red flag. I was like, no, there's no way that it is starting again, like already. We go through the year and I was okay, some missed periods, some pain, throw on my OB, we're good to go. We get to August of 2024, and when I tell you, my pelvic pain was not just pelvic pain anymore. It was like the actual pelvic pain, the right and left sides, and pains that were coming up to not quite the lower belly, but a little bit higher than that. And it also radiated down my thighs and my lower back, and it was everything from aching to throbbing to burning, the jabbing pains. It was all of it at once. And my periods were really painful, but they weren't heavy. And I feel like that's a misconception with endometriosis, because you don't always have to have these super uber duper heavy periods. I had a lot of pain and very little bleeding, and my periods only lasted for 4 days. And my belly went back to being inflamed 24/7 again, to where I was wearing only leggings and yoga pants. If you guys were watching my videos last year, you probably noticed I was wearing a lot of yoga pants, leggings, sweatpants, because that's what fit. Your girl couldn't wear jeans. I couldn't wear regular pants. And this is where I started rotating all of my devices in what I like to call my endo arsenal. I started wearing all of my devices, and when one died, I put the other one on and put the other one on the charger, and I was taking the extra strength Tylenol again, and I was trying to get into using like topicals for pain relief. And then when all of my devices were dead or charging, I put on my regular heating pad, and this was daily. This was not just like 1 to 2 days out of the week. This was every day. So to get through my workouts, daily activities, I had to have something on, because especially come nighttime, I would plop my behind on the couch with the heating pad and just stay there until it was time to go to bed. And then I would wake up and I would be curled up in a ball trying to sleep through the pain, which was not easy to do at all. And what was different this time is that the pain was more intense. So I was actually hunched over in pain, where I had to like crouch down to the ground and try to like I tried to put pressure on my lower belly, because for some reason I thought that would help. And I tried to breathe through the pain, but the waterworks came anyway. And I hate crying, especially when I'm in pain, because when I cry, I give myself a headache, and then your nose is stuffed up, and then like your eyes get kind of irritated and dried out, and it's just not a fun time. Since I had moved across the country and my previous OBGYN that helped me get the endometriosis diagnosis retired, I had to get another OBGYN. But what made this a little bit easier was that I actually already had a diagnosis of the beginning of stage 1 of endometriosis, like the very beginning, and it was excised. So I met her for the first time. She was very nice, very knowledgeable. She listened to me, took my concerns seriously, and I told her, like, I really think that my endometriosis is coming back. I've given this a couple months and it's not getting any better no matter what I do. And she said that her options were I can either go on Orilissa, which puts you into a chemically induced menopause. And I looked into that, and while it would have most likely stopped the pain and the bleeding, there are just so many symptoms that outweigh the relief that I would get, and it just didn't seem worth it to me to put my body through that for 9 months to a year. And then she said that the other option was going in for a second laparoscopic surgery, and it would be labeled as an exploratory laparoscopic surgery with a cystoscopy. They do the cystoscopy with the laparoscopy to make sure that everything's good. And since they're in there anyway, they check that. And I told her right now, I don't want to jump into a second surgery right away, because I just had one 2 years ago. And I know each time you go in for a surgery, there's more risk for more and more scar tissue to grow and be there, which they actually removed scar tissue with my last surgery. And she said that I could think about it, and if I made a decision, then I could reach back out to her through the LiveWell app, which is what we use up here to communicate with our doctors. And it took me about 2 weeks of more pain and aching and just struggling to get through life to make a decision. And I told her, I said, I would like to move forward with the surgery and see if it's approved by my insurance, because I also have a different insurance now than I did 2 years ago. By the time the surgery actually got approved by my insurance, I only waited, I think, about a month total from the previous appointment, which wasn't bad at all, because honestly, hospitals up here, like, you're scheduling appointments out like by now all the way through the end of the year already to get in to see somebody. I did vlog that surgery as well, which is also in the description, so I'm not going to go too far into that. While I will not talk about the surgery itself, I will tell you what they found. So they did tell me that they use both excision and ablation because there were multiple adhesions of endometriosis, and basically everything was ranging from like the end of stage 1 endometriosis to stage 2 endometriosis, and instead of last time I only had 3 incisions, this time I had 4. And also in addition to that, in the cystoscopy, I swear I'm butchering that, I'm so sorry, they found inflammation in my bladder. Basically it looks like interstitial cystitis, which I have the definition on my phone because I still don't fully understand that specific condition. I'm still trying to learn about it, but this says interstitial cystitis, also known as painful bladder syndrome, is a chronic bladder condition and causes chronic pelvic pain and urinary frequency. And I have to say, for a successful recovery, I really feel like prep is essential, because my first surgery, no prep, took me months to recover. The second surgery, I had to drink an Ensure drink, use Gas-X, take Miralats, do a suppository, shower with a medicated like body wash. And when I got to the hospital, I had to wipe myself down again with like 3 different sets of medical grade wipes. And with all of that, they also gave me like this little sticker behind my ear that was supposed to help with like anti-nausea, I think, and like 3 different medications. And I have to tell you, all of this together made a world of a difference with the recovery. I was able to move around on my own for the most part after the first week. Yes, your girl was sore. Like, I got cut into all the muscles and everything that they did and scraped stuff out, but it was nowhere near as bad as the first surgery. Up until the past month, I've really had like very low, if any, kind of pain, and I've been able to go to the gym for the most part, except for when I pinched a nerve, which we're not going to talk about, but I have been doing so well up until this past month. And it's only been a little over 3 months since the surgery, which I am not thrilled about at all, because I don't know what's going on. I've been having my pelvic pain and cramping for a month. I've been spotting, having a light period for a month with clots, and I'm sitting here just like, this cannot be just breakthrough bleeding. I went to an appointment with my OBGYN a couple months ago, and she said that this looks like breakthrough bleeding because I spotted for 2 weeks, but this is about to be a whole month, and I don't think that's normal. So I have an appointment scheduled with her for the beginning of April. So fingers crossed that your girl gets some more answers, because like we need anything else on our plate. A couple of the takeaways and things that I'm doing differently since the last surgery is, first of all, prioritizing rest and hydration is essential. It is so important, because there are days where I get up and I'm tired immediately after being up for an hour. I don't make myself stay up. I actually let myself rest, and I know that that's not a productive way to do things for work, but it's productive for my wellness, because rest is important, hydration is important. And since that surgery, I have not had a real cup of coffee, no spicy foods, no acidic foods, no chocolate, and have seriously cut down on anything sugary, because all of those are actually irritants to the bladder. That stuff is more so directed to the interstitial cystitis, not so much the endo, but I did find out a lot of these things can trigger endo too. So I've cut those out, and I've been gluten-free and lactose-free for years, so that's kind of like second nature at this point. And after my surgery, she did put me on a Gestin, which I didn't realize is norethindrone. It's 5 milligrams instead of 10 milligrams this time around, and I'm supposed to be taking that every day to stop any kind of bleeding or pelvic pain or anything like that. It's supposed to kind of, as she said, mask the symptoms. So again, it's like a little band-aid for the problem, not a solution. And technically what's happening with my body shouldn't be happening. So who knows? I might have to up my dose, change it out for another medication. Who knows? That is my endometriosis story. And if you can relate to any of this, or if you want to share your endometriosis story, I would love to hear it. If you would leave it in the comments, and we can build a community and have a great conversation down below. And like I said, stay tuned for next week's video, because I am sharing with you all of the products that I use for my natural pain relief, from from pain relief devices, creams, salves, gummies, everything that's not strictly a medication, because medications, especially extra strength Tylenol, is not good for your body. It is very bad for your organs. I wish I didn't take it as much as I did, but these devices and products help me take it less. If you're excited about that video next week and you enjoyed watching today's video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss a future upload. And again, happy Endometriosis Awareness Month. Endo Warriors, you are strong, you are queens, and you are worth everything that this world has to offer. Have an amazing day, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!